Welcome back to Let's Code. I'm Chris Biscardi, and today we are going to be looking at the Serenity Discord framework in Rust. Now, the Party Corgi Network Discord has a bot that does a number of different things. It allows us to do a bunch of things as moderators, like add roles and remove roles and stuff like that, as well as some fun things like this claw command that just pastes back a little photo of a crab with a little hat on it. You can see that this is clearly a bot. Its name is Corgo. It's gotten a photo, etc. Now, this bot hasn't been updated in a while, and Serenity has gone through some major revisions since then. Serenity now supports async. So this bot has not been updated to the version of Serenity that supports async. And I would like to do that because async is really nice. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get into a few things. We're just going to upgrade this bot. We're not really going to change any of the commands or anything if we can avoid it. We're just going to upgrade the infrastructure. We're going to get rid of some code, and then we're going to have a bot that is a Rust async Discord bot. So after opening up the Corgo bot repo, we can see there's a Rust bot here. There's also a JavaScript bot and a couple of GitHub workflows that are responsible for packaging or building each of the bots, packaging them up as a Docker container, SCPing that to a DigitalOcean droplet, and then stopping and running the bot that's currently up. And this has been working well for months and on the order of years at this point. So we don't need to touch any of that. What we're going to go into is we're going to go into the Rust bot, and we are going to start changing things inside of main.rs. Now we can take a look at a couple of the dependencies before we do any modifications in main.rs. We're using the 2018 edition of Rust, which I would like to upgrade to 2021. We're using 0.8 version of Serenity, which is 0.10, almost 0.11. We're going to get rid of tracing honeycomb and libhoneyrust, and probably not tracing itself, although we are going to get rid of most of the usages of tracing that we have, and I'm going to rebuild that up later. So let's start by finding out if this even builds. Of course, I have to be in the right directory for it to build. It's got about 300 dependencies. Okay, so we've got... What's going wrong here? Ring. Of course it's Ring. It's always Ring. Ring should build on this system. So this is trying to build Ring 0.16.15. So it's possible that we just need to upgrade Serenity and thus upgrade Ring. I think 0.16.15 was a version of Ring that existed before the M1 Max. So I think when it comes down to it, we're just going to get basically rid of all of this stuff. We're just going to go 0.3.9. I think that was the tracing subscriber. Get rid of these two, save that. And then we're just going to upgrade to 10.10. And we're going to see 1.19 might be a little old for tracing. 0.1.31 is current tracing. So let's bump that as well. And we'll bump to the 2021 edition of Rust. I'm just going to get rid of, is target not here? Target's right there. So I got rid of the cargo lock. I got rid of the target directory. So no artifacts should be around. We shouldn't be locked to an old version of Ring. It looks like the number of our dependencies has dropped a little bit. So 178, which is interesting. That's at request 0.11.9 is in here. So because we've updated, we haven't changed anything. We do have a number of issues here. I'm not worried about most of them. We're going to keep charging ahead, and I'm just going to make some sweeping changes in the Rust code. So in main, I'm going to get rid of this trace ID stuff. We're not going to use it. The tracing subscriber stuff, I will probably just change to be tracing subscriber format with JSON. So let's get rid of all of this, right? Let's get rid of everything up to tracing. We'll do setup tracing, and this will be tracing subscriber format, event format, tracing subscriber FMT format JSON dot finish or dot init, I think is the right thing here. And that looks correct. So let's keep going. Let's get rid of the sidebar a little bit. I think that this event handler is going to have to change. So the other thing is that this event handler only does the distributed tracing root stuff. So I think we can just get rid of this. And then this is doing some listen stuff. So we're going to have to redo this. This is the code for pinning a Spotify listening party in the listening party channel so that everybody can be aware that there is one happening. My guess for this event handler is that it will change to be the async trait stuff from before. So I'm just going to get rid of the instrumentation on it for now. In fact, I'm just going to generally get rid of the instrumentation everywhere. I mean, we're going to fix it later after we change a bunch of this. Not using libhoney anymore. We're not using tracing honeycomb anymore. We're not setting up a bunch of manual stuff, so we can get rid of that. A lot of these imports or symbols that we're bringing into scope here aren't being used either, which I'm not too concerned about yet. I'm mostly concerned about the change here that seems to be that group is either not in the prelude or it doesn't exist anymore. So let's go take a look at the Serenity docs. It looks like the group import got changed to macros. It doesn't look like there's a prelude here. There might not be much of a prelude anymore. So we'll change that for sure. Let's bring in a bunch of these symbols into scope to get started. We are going to have to stick async trait on event handler. It looks like there's something wrong with all of these functions. So my guess is that these are all async commands now, but one thing at a time. This is an async trait. Yeah, if you look down here, command async function ping. So all of the commands now are async functions, which makes sense because one of the major changes we're making here is from non-async to async. Let's go down to our main function here and get a little bit set up with what has to happen. Think whole section. So we're just changing the main function to be async. We're using Tokyo main here. I think that means we need to install Tokyo because I don't think we have that around currently. So let's get that in as well. And I think we need to enable the macros. I forget how to do that. I wonder if there's a cargo toml here. It's either enabling the macro feature or the derived feature, and I never remember which one it is. So it looks like macros. We could also just do features equals all, right? So if we go into, because it doesn't really matter to us that much. So in Tokyo here, we'll do version equals this, and then features equals, and this will be all. I think all is the one that just enables everything, which is totally fine for us. Like, we don't care. And this will have so many problems, but package cargo Rust depends on Tokyo with features all, but Tokyo does not have these features. What is I thought it was all. Full. It's full. I always, it's different between each package, and it's tough to remember that kind of stuff. So you can see that cargo basically told us, hey, the feature that you've enabled doesn't exist. So they're choosing to do a bunch of custom features in the examples that they have here. I'm not too concerned about that. This is all great. It looks like async await stuff mostly. There's a lifetimes issue here, but that's, like this function isn't even async. So we're going to start with all of that kind of stuff. Is there a help example in here? I think this is the same kind of, yes. So async message here, which is wonderful for us because that's something that we do need to do inside of main. So I know we haven't finished adjusting main down here yet. Client with framework, standard framework. This is going to be, so this is basically what we have. Standard framework, C prefix. Our prefix is an exclamation point instead of a tilde. And then we start adding groups in. So this is good. Let's take a look at client builder, event handler. This doesn't look like it uses that. So let's go back to the original example. .framework. And then we need to await the framework. Okay, so client builder token .event handler .framework. So this is going to be our thing to replace client with framework. Actually, client is going to be a thing that we need to adjust as well. So client here doesn't actually exist anymore, or like it's not the way that we're preferring to do things. So let's get this version of the client in here. The handler, which is the async trait thing that we had before, is going to go in as the event handler. The framework, we aren't actually setting up there. So let's set that up in the right spot. Pull this out, get rid of all of this, get rid of this. This token seems relevant for us, but we'll figure it out. Oh, the token's up there. We're good. See right here on line 182, the token's being passed in. So let framework equals the framework that we've set up here. Something about the help infrastructure isn't correct anymore. And now we're actually getting the right So tracing subscriber format JSON. I thought that's where that was. Doesn't look like it. So let's go FMT. What is in here? Format, try init. Oh, you know what I didn't do actually, now that I think about it. So I think this is correct, but because see, tracing subscriber version equals this, features equals JSON is a feature, I think, if I remember correctly. So if I do this little build over here, we still have a bunch of async stuff, so we're not too worried about everything just yet, but we can see that Rust Analyzer has correctly identified this as no longer having a problem because we've enabled the JSON feature. So because I want to output these as JSON objects, basically new line delineated JSON objects, we have to enable the JSON feature in tracing subscriber to be able to access that and do it. Okay, so we have tracing, we have the token from the environment, we have the standard framework. The help is still an issue. This looks like something that we might not need anymore. This, or it's just changed a little bit. If let error y, client error. So the big change here is what? Is there a change here? If let error y, client start, await. Await is the big change here. Let's do dot await. So a bunch of stuff is going to be async, whereas before it was not. I'm not too worried about that. This has to be an async function as we saw before. So that's what async trade is helping us do. I think this async trade is coming from a third-party crate and they're re-exporting it here. But we'll use it coming from Serenity anyway, just to get the bot up and running again. So this looks like it needs to be imported. Yes, cool. This looks like it's going to be an async function. This is just a total guess at the moment. Yeah, so new message pin await means that all of our logic here is still correct. It's just that pin was an async function. What else do we have here? This needs to be async. Why is everything a problem now, though? Okay, registered disk tracing root is no longer something we're doing. Attachment type looks like it needs to be imported, so we'll do that. If let error y equals this send message is going to be async. I can feel it in my bones. So yeah, that's correct. And then there's something wrong with yclong command. I don't know what that is yet, but we'll just continue. We'll kind of asyncify all of our commands here. It looks like args is also an issue now. That's interesting. Get message dot await. Pin is also dot await. This will just clean up all of the errors that we have. And then pin await. Can we not return that here? That's going to be awkward. Let's open up actually the type signatures here. So await is going to be a result message error. And then our message is a message. Our message dot pin. Let's do this. Let res equals this. And then res here. And then we get to see that the await here is a unit or an error. So it's a result of unit error. And then the await that we have above on line 104 is a result for message error. So my guess is that those types just don't quite match up. Does this actually need to be? Yeah. So it is impl future. So it does need to be awaited. But I don't think this function is an async function, right? Like we would need to do this, which I don't even think works. So we're going to have to change this up a little bit. I think we'll just skip the end then, right? Because if we await this, right, let message result here, and then we need to match here. But if we're matching here and we're returning the result, then and then our message is that I don't think we have an async map here. So that's going to be our message. So this is going to be message result dot pin, and this is not going to exist. So this would all work. This needs to be message result. Kind of funnily, this pin is going to be unit if it succeeds. So I think we just handle the error here. Then that exists and that happens and this happens. And this is result and result is unit. So we get rid of the error handling there, and this is doing our error handling for us. Okay, I think that'll all work. The only difference here is that args we don't actually use args, do we? Yeah, we do use args. So we need to figure out args and what that needs to become, because the function signature for that is wrong now. So let's do async. Let's get rid of the tracing stuff that we had here. This is going to be async again. And then it looks like something's wrong with command again. So that'll probably be the same issue for all of these commands. My help is definitely 100% going to have to change. This is a whole like smorgasbord of macros and stuff. let me take a guess and make that async. That does look like that's interesting. It looks like that has to be async. Do these have to be imported? Yes. I got rid of all of these earlier, so no big deal. Hash set, user ID, all of those come in. It's all good. Args probably also has to come in. Framework args. Yep. And then help commands also is going to have to come in with embeds into, I don't know why into is problem. This needs to be awaited. Option message. Can we take an option message and turn it into a command result? I guess we'll have to find out. It looks like that's what we were doing before. Help has an issue. And then also probably what's going to happen is this mod group commands is going to have some problematic stuff all over the place as well. We're probably going to have to asyncify this whole file, get rid of that, inspect, unwrap, but this needs to be awaited first. All of this is going to have to be awaited. Do we not have this enabled is a question that I have. Let's do a cargo build and let's check out what errors we have, because we should have fewer async errors now and it should be easier to get through a little bit. It's still going to be a lot. Like we're still doing in the middle of an upgrade here, right? So not too worried about it. Let's see if we can find the top here. There are plugins that would bring this top to the end. So mod group stuff, async, expected async. So the instrument in the mod group stuff actually isn't the issue here. The issue is that this isn't async, and the error just shows up in the instrument there. I'm not too worried about that. ID say this has got to be in await, right? Like I'm just assuming that any action that we take, like this dot say, is going to be, and it is. You can see it in the type signature. It's impl future, which means it's something that we need to await. So let's go down to the next. If error, message guild. Interesting. Let's see what this is. This is impl future option guild. So dot await dot unwrap. I'm not sure why we're unwrapping here. Seems fine though. A read is probably async, right? I don't know why read here is a problem. We'll have to find that out in the build errors later. Let's continue with the async upgrade. This is going to be dot await like it was before. It's the same call here. Interesting that that's still a problem. Maybe I'll remove that for a second just to make sure that I'm not adding issues here. But I do think that if I bring this off, then this is impl future. So probably the problem is await here and then go up and look at the function signature, and the function signature is not async. So that's the problem there. Guild.read result guild channel. This has got to be like a feature or something that we don't have enabled. Like we don't have the cache enabled or something. So this is going to be async. I don't know if check still exists as a macro. Maybe we don't have it in here. So we're going to have to figure that out. I don't know if we have the cache feature enabled. That might be why we're seeing some of those issues. Guild. So this is going to be async, I think, because this .guild call is awaited. And then .read. .read is popping up everywhere. So I wonder if it's just like we don't have the cache enabled, the cache feature. So a bunch of from stuff. We don't care about a lot of this at the moment. Let's get back up to the beginning. Async for add role to users. Where's add? Well, this is async. Expected async on 84 and 208. 84 is async at the moment, so maybe that's just an old one. And then 208, I think we also changed this one. Yeah, so I think I just scrolled back a little bit too far here. Let's clear this and let's do our build here. Of course, this is a lot. again, we're still in the midst of like upgrading from non-async to async is going to require a lot of these functions to change. So I'm just kind of ignoring a lot of that right now as I go through and make sure that any of the smaller stuff is cleaned up. Because as soon as we get a lot of these switched over to the proper async execution model, then all of this like kind of noise will go away. So cargo build, check result. Is check result not a thing anymore? It looks like 148, we need an async function. So all of these functions in here that we have, that we built, are all going to need to be async as well. Check result. Let's see if check result is a thing anymore, right? If we go in here, if GitHub would let me use their website without having to be fully zoomed out, that would be great. What was that? Check result. Replace check result with a simple result reason. So check result is no longer a thing. In this commit, is there a reason? Is there like a parse quote, check result, yada. So this is still check. And then this is just going to be result and reason. And reason looks like it's a Serenity type. Where's reason? I don't see reason anywhere. Get it? So this check result, let's go check result. We use it in a couple places. Actually, we only use it in one right here. So this is result, unit, and reason. I don't know if reason is really a thing. Let's find out. Serenity framework reason. Okay, that seems fine. And then we've got check here, name mod, if let some measure. This is going to be in a wait probably, right? I don't know if the context, I bet you that message member is async, but for the moment, context cache is the issue that we need to see there. Create role, types differ in mutability. Which types? So this is on async function my help, types differ in mutability. Future of context, future of message, args, future. Matching these two up is definitely not the best. So there's a mutable in the first. Let's go check the help. I don't even know what that is supposed to be. Option message, command result. What is a command result? Apparently option message cannot turn into a command result. So this is going to be a to-do for us. I think that we need to figure out how to create a command result there. Let's see. Command ping doesn't have any issues inside of it. Command pin also doesn't. These all do not. So the error is coming from somewhere else. We're getting closer though. We are. I just removed the mutability here. So like going back to the types differ in mutability. These types they look complex. They look complicated. But that's because it gives you the full typings here. Then you usually don't see the full typings. So in this case, it's like a lifetime named future or a fut, F-U-T, for the context for the first argument. The message is the second argument. The args are the third argument. And if you look at the mutability on the context argument, which is the first one, so it's right here, right? This is just a context with a lifetime of FUT. And this is a context with a lifetime of FUT that is mutable. So I just removed the mute, and that solves types differ in mutability. It is literally like the type is being declared as mutable here, and it shouldn't be. So I just removed it. Types differ in mutability in ping. Interesting. Okay, so what do we have in ping? It looks like this is going to be a thing that happens a couple times. Probably context is no longer mutable, right? Okay, so in all of these, the exact same solution that we just had is the same solution for our commands here. The commands take a context that is no longer mutable, which is great. So now we can go in here and we can do the same thing here. Context, mutable context, get everyone role. This doesn't need a mutable context anymore. We have one here. We're just never going to mutate context. I don't think we actually do mutate context anywhere, so it's not really a problem. I think that was just the old function signature. Check result is no longer a thing, so we'll get rid of that up here. And now we're starting to get somewhere. This is going to be .await. Hopefully this function is async. Yes, it is. And then my guess here, this is also one that we haven't fixed yet. Okay, so this guild is also going to be in await. I really want to say that this is going to be awaited as well, but it doesn't seem like it. Guild read. For some reason, guild read does not work. If I get rid of this, this is future. So that is definitely definitely needs to be awaited. So if we have a guild, I wonder if there's a feature that we haven't enabled here. Await. So message reply is always going to be awaited. Info is probably not even being imported, is it? Tracing info. No, it is. I don't know what the issue with that is there. Oh, this is a future now. And this is a future now. So we need to await those, obviously. And then everything else can stay the same. Message reply, of course, is an async function now. So we need to await it anytime we use it. And these changes are pretty mechanical. Guild read is the one that we still haven't figured out how to fix yet. I keep typing await to see if that's the issue. It is not. I think we're down to pretty much just the guild await stuff, right? We do need to now await our own custom functions that we've written that we've upgraded to be await. Message member, that doesn't fix that. So interesting. So yeah, we're basically down to guild read as our big error. This is the mismatched types, expected opaque type found enum option. So I think message member is async. So we'll just scroll up here and we'll get to the top of the list and we'll go down from the top. No method named read found for struct Serenity model guild. Interesting. So the question is, why does guild not have a read function on it if we've already used it? 159 expected opaque type found enum result. 160 we have a say that we're not awaiting. Here's say dot await. So read doesn't exist on guild. Why doesn't read exist on guild is the big question. And that will be, I think, the final thing that we really need to fix. Let's do guild read. Self.guilds.read. So it looks like, wait, async read extension? That seems file system based or related, IO related anyway. Cache.guilds.read, guilds.get. Looks like get might be the function that we need to change to. Let's go look at the docs. Serenity Discord, docs.rs, guild. Gets a partial amount of guild data by its ID. This will not be a guild, as the REST API does not send all data with a guild retrieval. So my guess is that this is just get. I don't see read here. So I don't think we're missing anything. I don't think there's a feature that we need to enable. I think that we just need to use get. So let's go back to what were we on? 0. Let's go something like 0.8.1 and let's look for read. Hopefully it'll be here. Hopefully it's something that got removed. I don't see it though, which is interesting. It makes me a little nervous to change that function call without knowing where it was supposed to come from. If I remember correctly, we were on 0.8. Let's look for something a little bit later. Let's look for 0.8.9, arc.read, attain role by name. Were these in arcs before and they're not now? Is that what the problem is? Are we passing in? We're not passing in anything to guild, are we? Arc rust. So arc is a data structure. I didn't think that it had a read function, but maybe I'm totally wrong. And it does have a read function. That's not going to help. Arc read. Let's see if that gives us anything. I'm pretty sure arcs have get on them and not read. So I'm not sure where the read is coming from here, even if that was a guild and an arc. Here, let's go back to 1010. Let's do feature flags. Let's look at default. No, backend. So I think cache is enabled by default. I can't think of anything that would add read. So I don't know. I have not seen. If we just get rid of read, it looks like we are fine. So I'm thinking that was just like a cache interaction that no longer needs to happen, which is really interesting. Let's just do this and let's do guild. Oh, you know what? We actually need to make that async in a bunch of places, don't we? New channel, await, if let whatever. This is going to be a different issue, isn't it? Okay, that's not even the right one. I do think that this is still something we need to await, but guild dot whatever, guild.roles.iter, fine. Guild.member, this is going to go away. Member is async, right? if I remember correctly. This is also async, unwrap or else. Member.userid is not a function. I wonder if that got removed. So member.userid, member.user.id. Reply is async, so we need to await it again, right? Message.reply.await. There seems to be a problem there for some reason. Message.reply, error, await, unwrap. Well, we'll let cargo build tell us what the problem with that one is. I think that we've covered most of the stuff here. Let's get back to cargo build. Probably a couple more issues here. We're down to like 4 of them here. Await is only allowed inside of an async function. So unwrap or else is not async. 62. So that's where we just were. That's why the async on the message reply was giving us an issue. This isn't giving us a response. So I don't think that we can just do async here. From string instrument, can't unwrap on 133. So there are just a couple of more async issues here. Let's do this. Let's do let unwrap or else. We don't use ERR there. We'll call this result. And we'll do this and we'll pull this all out. So let result. Maybe we should just match on it because this is like unwrap or else, right? So if we match on this and we scoop this up for a second, that's not what I wanted to do. We scoop this up for a second. We await all of that stuff and then no code actions available. That should be a fill match arms. There we go. Fill match arms. So if that's an error, then we need to do this stuff. And if it's okay, then we do nothing. So that's a little bit of a change here. So because we aren't using the result of that anyway, it doesn't matter. So if it's successful, then it was fine anyway. So that's a good change. And then we have the other async change that still needs to happen. So let's go over here, rerun cargo build. That looks funky. No method unwrap for future on 139. That makes sense. 139 is a reply that needs to be awaited. Now you'll see that I'm running cargo build more often because we're getting down to like 2-ish errors left. The trait cache HTTP is not implemented for Arc cache. Okay, because this context cache needs to be mutable. This is why we needed it mutable here. So 226. Let's get rid of the mismatch types. Oh, actually, message member. That's the same call, right? Message member, message member. This gets an option. This needs to be okay at this point. So 226, okay. And then this is the into that we still need to figure out for command result. So we have 3 issues left on this long journey. Cache HTTP is not implemented for Arc cache. Okay. Which line is that on? 226. So I feel like this does need to be mutable here. But that seems to be problematic for some reason. Let's look for dot member. So it is an arc. Let's look for member. Let's see if we can find a function call here. Again, we could also look at the docs, right? So we're in the docs over here. We don't want to find crate. We want to go here. What is the call? This is message.member. So capital M message. And if we go for member, option partial member, doesn't look like a function, actually. Interesting. Okay, so it's not anymore. It's just some member. I wonder why we needed to pass the context in the past. The check is still being a little bit finicky here. So mismatch types, bool, found result. So if we into both of these, then we don't know which one to into it into, right? So the type of this is going to be an option, isn't it? Oh, that is a bool. So it's either true or false, which is fine. And then expected bool found result, unit reason. So result, I think this needs to be a result though. So contains, if I match on this, then we fill match arms. What is reason? True is okay unit. If we just do okay unit for everything for a second, does that work? We don't need to do the return here. We can just do okay. So I think instead of if let sum, we match on message member, right? We fill the match arms here. And then if we have some member, then we do some stuff. This is, get rid of that for a second. Okay, so yada yada. This is whatever reason is going to come here. This is match member roles contains mod role ID. So if it's true, then we're okay. If we're false, then we're whatever. This all works. This all type checks. So now we just need to do reason. What is the purpose of this code? I haven't even been thinking about that. Mod check. User does not have the mod role. There is a problem with that. So let's go find out what that problem is. Oh, because error. Yeah, okay. So we need to wrap this in ERR, if I can spell. ERR, this needs to be a string, so toString. Yada yada. This is going to be the same thing down here. So if the message.member doesn't exist, then that's that reason. So that check should work. So this check is a mod check. So it's checking the member that sent the message for a specific role. The role we define as a hard-coded number. If it's true, then we're good. If it's false, then they don't have the mod role. If they, for some reason, if they're not a member, I don't know. I don't know why this would happen, but the member, we can't get the member, and thus would need to log that out. Okay, so getting closer. We're down to the into for the command result, if I remember correctly. Result, option message is not satisfied. Let's go to main. Let's go to help. Was it help? I forget what it was. Into right here. So command result. What is command result? It's either okay or error. So it's basically this. Interesting to me that this doesn't, I guess because the message is the value. So if we match this, we fill match arms, some whatever. This is a command okay unit, command result, okay unit. And this is a command result error, and then needs to be some kind of error inside of it. Why is this an option? I guess none just means that we need an error to happen here, right? Probably needs to be a string. So we've changed this up a little bit. This help commands with embeds. I believe this sends the help text to Discord for somebody to see. We need to await it because it's async, because it's, like an HTTP request. If we get some message back, then great. We sent the help to Discord and somebody saw it. If not, then it's none and help failed to send. So altogether, that should be our first successful build, except for I have a one borrowing issue here. 226 in mod group. Match on message member. Totally fine. We'll still see a bunch of warnings here because I didn't clean anything up, but everything works. So we did quite a bit of changes. We removed all the honeycomb stuff. We turned everything async. The tracing stuff is still kind of in a dilapidated state. So I do need to come back in here and figure out what we actually want to trace and what we actually want to send out and where we want to send it, because it would be nice to be, for example, alerted when the bot starts failing. So I think that that's good enough. I think that we can upgrade to Serenity 0.10, and I'll push that up. And hub browse, maybe. GH browse. Man, I really wish. Anyway. All right, and it looks like it worked. So let's go see if our application still works. Ta-da! We have upgraded our Serenity bot to be async from 0.8 to 0.10. This is a pretty, it was a pretty mechanical upgrade, but it could have easily tripped you up if you are unfamiliar with async. And we'll probably do some videos on how to actually build a bot from scratch in the future. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a like below, and I will catch you next time.